Good day, gentle viewers. In today's news, PA Works unveils an upcoming anime film, a spin-off of Cells at Work, and Sony tries to brag a bit. So without any further ado, I am Tristan Gallant and welcome to Glass Reflection. Let's jam. PA Works has announced and released a trailer for the next anime in their Workplace series, this time focusing on a Japanese whiskey distillery. Their working anime has been a series of ongoing projects dating all the way back to 2011, with their first working series, Hanasaku Iroha, a show about a traditional Japanese hot spring inn and how a young girl ends up working at her grandmother's establishment without actually really wanting to. That one was 26 episodes, if I'm recalling correctly, of that girl learning the charm of the place and eventually working hard to help it be successful alongside a number of other girls who worked there. The working series then continued in 2014 with the release of Shirobako, covering the job of working in an animation studio and the trials and tribulations of being on the production line there. Then in 2017, we saw the release of Sakura Quest, covering working for a tourism bureau of a small Japanese provincial town. In 2021, we got the Aquatope on the White Sand, covering working in an aquarium, and now finally here in 2023, we are getting working in a whiskey distillery. The working series from PA Works have always been highlights for me in the years that they have been released, and like Shirobako specifically still exists on my favorite anime of all time list. So to see them now shifting to a whiskey distillery of all places is quite fascinating. I do enjoy a good whiskey, and I am at least semi-familiar with how like Scottish distilleries work, and I'm excited to see how the Japanese do things differently and also how this anime decides to portray it. I also find it funny that this is like the second alcohol-related anime announcement in recent times, as there was also that announcement for the new Bartender anime that was made last week, which I am also super excited about because I love Bartender, the original adaptation. Well, also the manga as well, to be fair. But my excitement for that one did get tempered a bit by the fact that it's not actually coming out until April of 2024, so like I wanted to be excited, but the whole year wait that we have to do kind of killed it for me. Conversely, however, this whiskey anime from PA Works is scheduled to release in November, which I first thought was odd considering, the anime season starts in October. But then, I got over my excitement of just the announcement itself and actually read the brief for it. And apparently it's not an anime series like all of the other working shows, but a feature-length film, which actually is a little disappointing. Being such a fan of PA Works' working series as I have been, I would have very much enjoyed like a full 20+ episode series about, well, anything. It didn't even have to be the whiskey distillery. I would have taken the 20 episode anime about anything from them. And while I am sure that I will still heavily enjoy this film, nonetheless, it still makes me yearn for what could have been. Also, I gotta wait until like November, which I'd rather not wait that long, but I'm sure we'll manage. Now, before we continue, I wanted to give shout-outs to supporters of this channel over on Patreon, because yes, this video is not sponsored, and the more support that we get over there, the less sponsorships that Glass Reflection will need at any given time. So an immense thank you, especially to patrons like Deluxe Flame, City Yamako, Ryfin Bonaparte, Ross Emerson, Omar Showman, Ahagao Comics, Hector Montemayor, and Wago221. We cannot continue this without your support, so however much you are able to help, I am eternally grateful. Announced in the June issue of monthly shonen Serious Magazine, is it Serious Magazine or is it like Sarius Magazine? I'm gonna get that one wrong. Either way, the manga series Cells at Work, following a group of anthropomorphized human cells living in the body of a person and keeping that place healthy, is set to receive 2 additional spin-offs. In this case, we get one spin-off, Cells at Work Cat, presumably about cells working in the body of a cat and how that differs from human bodies, as well as Cells at Work Medicine, possibly covering how medicine and medicinal drugs affect and help the human body. Cells at Work is an interesting franchise that seems to be growing at a somewhat exponential rate. Anime watchers might already be familiar with the adaptations of the original Cells at Work manga, as well as that one spin-off, Cells at Work Black, which was like the original, except instead of taking place in a perfectly or relatively healthy body, Black takes place in a heavily abused and run down body. Also, the white blood cell character is stacked for some reason, but also the mangas for the series keep churning out spin-offs one after the other, which only seems to be happening because new authors and new artists are stepping in to cover each one. There's like Cells at Work, Bacteria, Neobacteria, White Brigade, Baby, Platelet, Cells Not at Work, Cells at Work, and Friends. All of these exist. I suppose I do see the appeal because the original Cells at Work can, and I think is used as an interesting educational display material sort of thing. And I can only assume that that's why the spin-offs have been so popular, as that is a very good use for them. But I will say, if we get another spin-off adaptation, an anime, so to speak, I do hope that we do get the Cats one. Like, not only will it fit the anime market with its Catgirl aesthetic, but it'll also diverge enough, I think, from the other Cells at Work adaptations to be interesting on its own. Now, these two new spin-offs are set to release in the July issue of the magazine that will be released on May 25th. Don't ask me why the July magazine comes out in May. It's just what happens sometimes. So I recently read a positive-sounding PR blurb from Sony and Crunchyroll talking about, hey, Crunchyroll now has 10 million paid subscribers to their service, which sounded a little off to me. So let's actually preface this whole segment by saying that I am not a business major, and any conclusions that I may come to might be missing very important facts or just be plain wrong. I am admitting that possibility. However, I did find it interesting that said comment about Crunchyroll's high subscriber count came from an article on The Hollywood Reporter. The article was titled, Sony Pictures' full-year profits slip to $894 million. And in the article, they mentioned that Sony Pictures Entertainment's operating income dropped by 45%. I assume that number is compared to the previous year. Now, the article in question spends a lot more time specifically on Sony Pictures and their like Hollywood film offerings, and as well as other aspects to the company. In fact, the only mention of Crunchyroll was that one quick blurb from the new Crunchyroll CEO who brought up the paid subscriber number. But then I got curious, because I could have sworn that it wasn't too long ago Crunchyroll was celebrating 5 million. So I wanted to investigate. And giving Crunchyroll the benefit of the doubt, I assumed that my memory was just either faulty or that like my perception of time has just been real warped as of late. Because like 2012 was only 5 years ago, right? Guys? Turns out, a quick search led me to a posting on Crunchyroll's own website celebrating 5 million subscribers, and that article was posted in August of 2021. So not that long ago. On top of that, the 10 million number mentioned by the CEO in this article, well, that's not actually the first time Sony has used that exact number. A Sony financial document from November of last year also mentions that Crunchyroll has nearly 10 million paid subscribers. So how did Crunchyroll double their subscriber numbers between August of 2021 and November of 2022? Because that's like only 14 months. I have some theories, but none of them involve Crunchyroll being all the way truthful. I do not believe that they actually doubled their subscriber numbers in only 14 months. Like if we were talking about 2018 or 2019 to present, I could see it potentially happening considering the effect that the pandemic had on like all streaming services, because all of them did boast large subscription numbers during those times because so many people were at home and wanting entertainment. So yes, subscription services went to skyrocketing. But by August 2021, I would have assumed that the bulk of the growth due to the pandemic had already happened. So what's left? Well, the two theories I have are thus. First, they're actually combining numbers. While since the merger between Funimation and Crunchyroll, it is pretty well known that the Funimation streaming service, as it has been known till today, is largely on its way out. It is still live. You can go there. You can, I'm pretty sure, still pay for it. Now, it does attempt to link people over to Crunchyroll directly from its homepage, and not all of the Funimation content has migrated its way over to Crunchyroll. But this leads me to think that Sony could be combining the numbers from both Crunchyroll and Funimation into one, and might continue to do so until Funimation actually is shuttered entirely. Now, I also don't think that this is the right answer, because while I don't doubt there are a lot of people who were subscribed and potentially are subscribed to both services, I don't feel like there is currently that many people subscribed to both. I would be curious to know what the current actual active numbers of subscribers are, which led me to my second theory. That 10 million number is probably not currently active subscribers, nor has it ever been. It's the use of clever wording, right? Specifically that they say that paid subscribers to the anime streaming platform Crunchyroll had topped 10 million. They do not specifically state that the service currently has 10 million paid subscribers, just that there have been 10 million in the service's lifetime. I mean, even then, I feel like that number is suspect, because ignoring the fact that it's not active subscribers, that still means that they had 5 million new accounts paid for in a 14-month span, which does seem a little sus to me. But in either case, that is what Sony is claiming. Like, I mainly took issue with this because it was like that one bright spot in this article that was mostly just Sony bashing. And I thought, well, and there's probably something wrong with this number too, isn't there? So while I don't exactly know where that 10 million figure came from, and I don't know how accurate it is, Sony is indeed trying to spin their Crunchyroll purchase as a good thing, despite the company overall doing less financially than in previous years. But I mean, spending the 1.175 billion on Crunchyroll, it probably won't pay for itself in less than a year, so it's not incredibly surprising that they are a little under their estimates. We do like to be critical of Sony and Crunchyroll here on the channel, and we will continue to be until such time that they actually fix their service to be worthwhile compared to their competitors. Like, I can still praise Crunchyroll for the anime that they offer, but I do so largely knowing that it's not really praise that they themselves deserve, considering there's not many other options to offer this anime in the first place. So if Crunchyroll ever sponsors a video in future, please let it be known that it's because I want to help advertise the anime and not necessarily Crunchyroll as a service. Keep that in mind. And with that, that's our show for today. So subscribe if you haven't, hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and until next time, whenever that may be, ladies, gentlemen, and others, watch more anime and stay frosty.